Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for joining this Honpa Honganji Hawaii Meeting online Sunday service. My name is Reverend Shingo Furusawa, one of the associate ministers of the Hawaii team. Let us start this service with a chanting of Vandana and Tisarana.
Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, 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 Namanda.
Amida
Before my message, I would like to read a phrase from the show Shingen, written by Shinran Shonin. Please put your hands together in Gassho. Everywhere the Buddha casts light, immeasurable, boundless, unhindered, unequaled light lord of all brilliance. Pure light, joyful light, the light of wisdom, light constant, inconceivable, light beyond speaking, light surpassing sun and moon in sent forth, illuminating countless worlds. The multitude of beings all received this radiance. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namanda, Namanda. Today, I would like to talk about judgmental self-centered mind. At every beginning of a year, many people make resolutions because they all hope to live a happy life. If we want to be happy in our lives, what should we do? We all must overcome our judgmental self-centered mind. Do you know what the judgmental self-centered mind means? We always distinct ourselves from others, tend to see everything with a self-centered view, judge others carefully, judge others selfishly, and want to think, I'm better than you. This is a judgmental self-centered mind. We tend to be controlled by the mind. So we must be careful for our own judgmental self-centered mind. I would like to share one of my experiences that I failed due to the judgmental self-centered mind. When I was a university student, I attended the Shigin Club. Shigin is one of the Japanese traditional performing arts, and it is a chanting of poems. But recently, the Shigin is very minor for young people. So the Shigin Club's memberships were always 5 to 6. If a club has very small memberships, each member's responsibility has to be increased. After graduating the university, I entered the same university's graduate school. So I have visited the club to help in the activities. 2 of my juniors had an initiative at the club. But as time passed, their relationship got worse. So I always worried about them. One day, when I met with one of them, I told her that she should have a meeting with another one to communicate with each other. However, she said, "Why do I have to have a meeting with him?" I got irritated and thought, relationship between you and he is very bad. For the club, 2 of you must communicate with each other. Why don't you understand such an easy thing? And said to her, "It's my order. Follow me." After a moment, she said, "Huh?" I noticed that it slipped out on my mouth and tried to apologize. But after that, the relationship between she and myself also got worse. I also have the judgmental self-centered mind. I thought, I'm older than the 2 juniors, so they should follow me. In this way, the judgmental self-centered mind prevents us from living with others in peace and harmony. Our judgmental self-centered mind prevents us from walking the Buddhist way. Once upon a time, there lived a Buddhist master in China. He was always living high up in a tree, so he was nicknamed Bird's Nest. Master Bird's Nest was very famous because he often gave good advice to people and guided them to the Buddhist way of living. One day, the governor of the province visited the master and asked him, "Hey master, what are the Buddhist teachings?" Master Bird's Nest answered, "Do not do bad things, always do good things, and we must purify our mind. That is the Buddhist teachings." The governor said, "Master, you said to do good things and do not do bad things. But I knew that when I was 3 years old." However, the master replied with a smile, "Yes, the 3 years old knows it, but the 80-year-old still finds it very difficult to do." What do you think about this story? It's very easy for us to understand that we should do good things and not to do bad things. However, it's very difficult for us to practice. Please do not forget the last word of the Master's advice. He said that we must purify our mind. Do you understand what purify our mind means? Simply put, it means that when we do good things, we should not think unnecessary things. For example, few months ago, I went to the supermarket. After filling my cart with groceries, I went to the cash register. While I was there, another customer stood in back of me. I noticed that he had very few items in his cart, while I had a lot. So I said to him, "Go ahead." However, he did not say anything to me. I was disgusted and thought, why didn't he say thank you to me? Now do you understand what is meant by thinking unnecessary things? My thinking, why didn't he say thank you, was the unnecessary thing. Why do we tend to think unnecessary things? It is because of our judgmental, self-centered mind. Due to the mind, we tend to think such as, "I'm kind to you, I'm better than you. Say thank you to me," or "You should return my favor." Please do not misunderstand me. I'm not suggesting that we don't have to say thank you when we receive the favors from others. Of course, please extend your gratitude when others are kind to you. Also, I never said that we should not do good things. Needless to say, we should try to do good things. But when doing good things, we must be careful if we may be controlled by a judgmental, self-centered mind. It is because even when we do good things, the mind will spoil them. In this way, the judgmental self-centered mind causes many problems in our lives. How should we overcome the mind? At the beginning of this message, I read the phrase of the Shōshin, written by Shinran Shorin, the founder of Shin Buddhism. I would like to read it again. Everywhere the Buddha casts light, immeasurable, boundless, unhindered, unequaled light lord of all brilliance. Pure light, joyful light, the light of wisdom. Light constant, inconceivable, light beyond speaking, light surpassing sun and moon is sent forth, illuminating countless worlds. The multitude of beings all received this radiance. The phrase includes many difficult words, but Shinran Shorin defines that Amida Buddha is light, and he reveals how the Buddha's light is compassionate. As ending of the phrase, Shinran Shorin said, the multitude of beings all received this radiance. The multitude of beings means us all. So the Buddha's light is always illuminating all of us equally. That is, Shinran Shorin reveals to us that Amida Buddha's compassion is limitless and has no discrimination. We all have judgmental self-centered mind, but Amida Buddha never has that mind. Amida has no self-centered view, so the Buddha has no discrimination and never judges others. That is, Amida accepts all of us. That's why Shinran Shorin told us to rely on Amida Buddha. Last year, I had an online discussion class about Shin Buddhist teachings, and I often talked about our judgmental self-centered mind. One of the participants asked me, Reverend Shingo, I can understand that a judgmental self-centered mind causes problems in our lives. However, in our daily lives, we often must decide which is better. In order to live, we must judge others. Could you tell me how we should live in our daily lives, not to be affected by the mind? As a participant said, we cannot live with no judgmental self-centered mind. So, it is extremely difficult to prevent us from being controlled by the mind. That's why we need to listen to Amida Buddha's teachings in our daily lives. As I said, the Buddha never has that mind. Through listening to the teachings of the Buddha that has no judgmental self-centered mind, we will be able to know how we are controlled by the mind. We cannot see ourselves, so we need to use the mirror to see ourselves. For example, even if our necktie is twisted, we can find a twist by looking in the mirror and can fix it. Amida Buddha's teachings are like the mirror. Through listening to the Buddha's teachings, we will be able to become aware about our true nature, and that we tend to be controlled by our judgmental self-centered mind. When we can know about our true nature, we will be able to reflect on ourselves and can improve ourselves. We tend to be unconscious, controlled by the mind. That's why we need to try our best to listen to the Buddha Dharma as possible as we can in our daily lives. Since last year, we have had hardships and difficulties due to the COVID-19. When we have difficulties, we tend to be controlled by our judgmental, self-centered mind. Not to be controlled by the mind and to live together in peace and harmony. Let us listen to the teachings of Amida Buddha that embraces us all with no judgmental, self-centered mind. Thank you very much for listening to this message. In closing, let us recite the Onen Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Please put your hands together in Gassho. Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu, Namo Amida Butsu. Namandab, 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 Namandab. Namandab, 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 Namandab. Namandab, 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 Namandab. Again, thank you very much for joining us for this Sunday service. Next Sunday, January 17, Hawaii Wedding online phone call service will be held at 10 a.m. Please join the service too. In closing, let us recite the Onen Butsu. Namo Amida Butsu, 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 Namanda Namanda.